Thank you for tuning into today's episode of the Kickin podcast. Today I talk with Carlos Caballero, who is a wholesaler in the real estate world. Now, wholesalers get a very bad reputation, which is why I wanted to bring him on. He is, the second wholesaler that I've had on the podcast, and I wanted to peel back into their world and see the type of service they provide and why they're actually needed and the amount of people that they actually help in the world. Now, a lot of people dislike wholesalers, but most people don't actually know anything about wholesaling, which I believe speaks to a greater phenomenon that we experience here in the world, in that we often find things that we don't understand, and our first instinct is generally to dismiss them or hate them. I believe this is the wrong approach, because if something disturbs you, rather than running from it and never understanding it, we should make a habit of doing our very best to run towards it and understand it and find out that thing that we dislike, that we find very annoying, that thing that we hate, we may find that it's actually very, very necessary and that it actually helps us out a lot. And I do my very best to live this principle out in my daily life, especially in this podcast that I share with you all. Again, wholesalers receive a very bad reputation, and I do not believe that they deserve it, because they do provide a tremendous service and do help out a lot of people in distress. With that said, I want you to listen to this podcast with an open mind and just go ahead and try to absorb as much knowledge as possible, not just about wholesaling, but about investing, about business, and about life, and just about the pursuit of excellence and greatness. Thank you very much. My name is Rex Wu, and this is the Just Kickin' It podcast. What's up, brother?
How you doing?
Thank you very much for doing this, by the way.
Dude, thank you for having me.
All right, the great Carlos Caballero. All right, so real estate wholesaler.
Yep.
How long you been doing that?
So I started in wholesaling 2000, probably like October 2016.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I worked for a company. At the time it was a really small company. It was just myself, the CEO, the COO, and one other acquisitions guy, just the four of us. And started working there, got fired due to just being a kid, just doing silly things when you get into that.
I'm so curious.
Yeah, definitely. I got fired, got rehired, and then shortly, like a month after getting rehired, they just kind of threw it on me. Hey, look, we're gonna move to Tampa in like a month. I was not expecting it. It was just, but I just took the plunge. Best decision I made, doubling down on wholesaling and, moving here, man.
So the company that hired you is a wholesaling company?
Yeah, it was. They dissolved in 2019, but yeah.
Okay, and now you're doing it solo?
Yep.
Oh wow.
Yep, I do solo and I flip houses as well. And I'm looking to start we were talking about this earlier, want to get a portfolio of rentals as well with my mentor. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the three main branches that I do. Yeah.
All right, so the first and most obvious question is, actually, before we even get to that, what is wholesaling? Describe it.
Great question.
For the people who don't know what it is.
So wholesaling, in essence...
And why is it different from traditional real estate sales?
Understood. Okay. So wholesaling a lot of times is categorized as like off-market real estate. It really consists of pretty much like three major components, right? There's the marketing aspect, because as a wholesaler, you're actually not really a real estate professional, you're a marketing and sales specialist. So you spend a lot of money investing in collecting data of people that for reasons X, Y, and Z, they have some kind of distress, where it could be they're going into foreclosure, they could be somebody that maybe, unfortunately someone passed away in their family and they didn't even know they had the property and now they're getting hit with taxes. So they're like, you know what? I just don't want to deal with anything. Just, make it quick and easy for me. Just give me quick cash. So it really just depends on the person's situation. Like in every industry, there are phenomenal, incredible human beings that do wholesaling. And there are also a bunch of really, can I curse in this? There's a lot of shitty assholes in this business as well, right? I mean, unfortunately, it's kind of given a bad reputation to wholesaling, but really, the people that are in the game and that have been in the game for decades and that will continue to do so are the people that do it ethically in the right way, right? Those people that, fuck people over or like will blatantly steal a house from like an old person, lie about what they're doing. These people might make, maybe a couple $100,000 that year, but I guarantee they won't be there in 5, 5 years, 10 years, right? But I digress. I'm sorry. So wholesaling, you invest money in marketing. So you collect the data, and then you're going to start sending either mailers, cold calling, text message, whatever form of marketing you want. You get in contact with that homeowner. You figure out what they need, right? You're trying to find a solution for their actual specific situation, not just hammer down a cash offer down their throat. And once you agree on a number, let's say easy numbers, we agree that we can get this under contract for $100,000. I've done my research and I know that, hey, look, if I want to flip this house myself, this works at $100,000 because the ROI on the back end is X and Y, right? Another exit strategy, I can also wholesale or assign this contract to an investor for like $110,000. Make the VIG, right? Make that difference of $10,000, and then bring that buyer to the table. They close without any inspection periods, no contingencies, no realtor fees, nothing like that. It's quick. The seller can literally pack up what they want, leave the house, and leave it completely fucked up. That's no problem. We handle the trash out the works. So that in essence is wholesaling. You're getting the deal from the seller and you're assigning that contract. That's one form. There's another thing called a double close. Excuse me, we can go into in a little bit as well. But in essence, you're selling that paper. You're flipping that paper to a buyer that's going to come in cash. Major difference between retail transactions, price point, right? The properties that most of the time you're getting at wholesalers, they're dog shit properties, right? They're properties that are not going to pass inspection. They have literal shit on the walls. There's like, they're falling apart. Like, dude, we've seen a lot. You know, I've marketed all the way up to Philly, and I've sold houses from Philly all the way down here, right? So you see a lot of shit. You hear a lot of stories. But in the retail side, right, the price point is going to be retail, right? You're not trying to get a deal per se in that acquisitions or that purchase, right? Retail transactions also carry a lot of extra closing costs for the sellers. They need to pay out realtor commissions. They have to cover a certain portion of the closing costs on the back end, which is on average 2% of the total sale value. And they're just a lot longer transactions. They take an average of anywhere between 30 to 60 days to do, from the point of you listing it to actually finding a buyer, getting it on a contract, then closing it, because then the bank still needs to come in, do an inspection, appraisals, all these extra stuff. Now you will get more money, but you're gonna also deal with a lot more BS, a lot more emotional roller coasters, because you could have a buyer that's ready to go, you get hyped up, buyer maybe fucking buys a new car 3 weeks before closing, and now they're not gonna get lend, which happens all the fucking time, right? So these are the things, I know, it doesn't make sense, and great realtors that I know will tell their clients blatantly, do not do this, this, and this, and they'll just go and fucking do it. You know, so those are two major differences between retail and off-market transactions. I specialize in off-market. I like getting a deal. So does that answer your question?
Okay, yeah, no, that describes wholesaling and the differences fairly well. Why did you choose wholesaling instead of going the traditional real estate licensed route?
Honestly, just because that's what I was introduced to in real estate, period.
Okay.
So before I worked in any kind of real estate, I was making maybe $20,000 a year working as a laborer for an irrigation company. It was a family-run irrigation company, but Pops, he doesn't believe in starting from the top. So for a year and a half, 2 years, I was just digging holes 9 to 11 hours a day in the sun in Virginia, learning about the business. It was really, really great, considering taking it over, but found out the hard way that sometimes business and family don't mesh. And I love my dad way too much to allow some business fuck up the relationship that we worked really hard to get to, right? Because I also wasn't the most innocent angel as a child.
You? No way.
Right? Surprise, surprise. But yeah, man. So, you know, one of my best friends at the time, he started wholesaling. He found out through his own means, and I saw for like 2 years, like the success start to creep up, right? Like, you know, showing like I just made $20,000 on this deal, and then like 30K. I'm like, wow, this looks amazing. I want to learn about it. So in irrigation, at least up north, they close up the business for the winter because it gets cold, right? So I offered to work for free. I went to my buddy. I was like, hey, look, I've been seeing the success you've been getting. And I would love to learn, I mean, I'll work for free. I just want to learn, and maybe next season I can come by and do just some basic work and just go that route. And he told me, he's like, look, I've seen you mature in the last couple of years trying to take over the business. I'll teach you everything I know about this, right? I'll get you into this business. That's no problem. But I need a commitment that you're going to be here full time. Ooh. And at that point, it was like I was already frictioning with my pops. I was already thinking about just stepping away from that, and then this presented itself. So I was like, all right, fuck it, let's do it. And talked to my dad that same day, explained to him the situation. He understood, and what I was getting into was wholesaling. I just didn't realize it. It was just I just knew it was real estate, and started off as an acquisitions person. So
what is that?
So exactly. So acquisitions is the side of wholesaling where you're talking to the actual sellers, the homeowners. So if I'm doing a cold call, let's say it's your house that we're calling about, acquisitions is me, the person calling you on the phone and getting on a contract with you. I am really good at building rapport with people. I can have really natural conversations, no issues, but I found myself kind of just shelling up when it came to flipping that conversation to an actual close. Because back then I didn't realize that, right, as wholesalers, we need to be a solution-based people.
Closing is a specific skill.
Yeah, it's a very specific skill, but to do it well, it's identifying the actual distress that the seller has. Not like, oh, you're $1 on this fucking screen and I can make $10,000 on you, let me give you this cash offer, take it or leave it. No, right? It's about being a human being first and foremost, talking to people. With that part, I'm good at. But it was then learning how to identify what solutions they needed and being able to monetize that solution where I would shell up, being like, okay, well, I didn't hear that you had to move in 2 weeks. I didn't think about that for whatever reason, right? My issue was the close on the seller side. So I got fired within that firing that I was telling you about. I actually got canned from the company a little bit after this. But before that, they said, look, we're going to switch you from acquisitions because you're not closing. It's been a month, you know what I mean? We hear the conversations, but let's try dispositions. So dispositions now is the other side of wholesaling. It's once that property is actually under contract for $100,000 in this example, when you go out and you find the buyer, the investor that's going to pay $110,000 and get it under contract with them. That's dispositions. And so they switched me to that. And it was, at first I was very against it because ignorantly I was just seeing the percentage points. I was like, in acquisitions I was making like 7% to 8% of whatever my fee was, but only on the deals that I lock up. I didn't think, and when they switched me to dispo, they said, look, it's only gonna be 3%. So at first I'm like, no. But in the long haul, they's like, just give it a shot. I think you're going to be way better at this, and you get to sell. You make 3% on everything you sell, which is everybody's deal in the company.
Oh, so that's way better.
Way better.
Way better.
Way more opportunity.
Yeah. Would you rather make 100% of your own efforts or 10% of 100 people's efforts?
Exactly right. And so it took me a little bit to really just kind of shift my mindset a little bit to be like, okay, at least give it a fucking shot, right? And I fit like a glove. Dispo is what I'm an expert at. It's what I do. I've been doing that for 7 years. After I left that company, I then just opened up my own disposition-focused wholesale company now.
So what are the skill differences between being acquisitions and being dispo? What is it that allowed you to succeed where prior you weren't?
So I think it was the understanding at the beginning of every dispositions conversation that it's, hey, look, I'm calling you and we can build rapport naturally, organically as the conversation goes through. But I'm calling you because I'm trying to sell you this house, and we're going to talk about the numbers. We're not going to necessarily talk about, the depressing situations in your life for 6 months to be able to get a $60,000 deal, right? I'm going to call you because I saw that you just flipped a house around the corner from me, so I know you're already most likely looking. It's a lot more efficient of a conversation, and it's just more about the numbers.
So you're talking to business owners, to
it's
business
B2B sales,
and they're like, and they're ready to make a deal versus acquisitions. You're talking to someone who's probably in an emotional state.
Very much so. It's a lot more emotionally based conversation. Correct. Yeah, and I would say that's probably the major differences, right? And it just felt more natural to me, the dispo side. I like that. I'm not as much of like a bullshitter, you know?
Is that what you do full time now?
Yeah.
Just dispositions?
Just dispositions. So I've built partnerships with other wholesalers that are really good at acquisitions and maybe not as strong on dispo. And we have agreements, and it's a mutually beneficial agreement.
So you just fill out where they're weak at, and then they fill out where you're weak at.
Exactly.
It's brilliant. Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah, it's really, really great, but it's like everything, there's a double-edged sword, right? We're highly dependent on other people to get deals for us to have business.
Yes.
So what happens when the market slows down and there aren't as many deals coming in?
What is going on now that the market has slowed down and deals aren't coming in?
I'm dealing with that right now.
What are you doing?
So I'm expanding to other markets as well. So I've just broken to Philly again. So when I was working with that wholesale company at our peak, we were selling probably 30 to 40 deals, or 25 to like 38 deals a month.
Huh?
Yeah, it was a lot. They got really big, and we were in 8 markets down the East Coast, 7 to 8. So it was Philly, Baltimore, DC.
I knew Baltimore.
Yeah, of course.
That is a wholesaler's city right there.
That's where you can get houses for, at least back then when we were in there, you could buy houses for $5,000.
Yeah.
Like, now, would you want to live there? Probably not. But you could get the houses, right?
But you get it for $5,000, and you could turn it into a $50,000 home.
Yeah. Well, you would get $5K and those shitty fucking houses. Like, you'd invest maybe like $30K into it, and it'd be worth $75 on the back end, which sounds great. But what a lot of times you don't consider is, you know, throughout the process of you fixing this house, you spend $30K on materials, $15K on materials, $10,000 of that gets robbed within the first day, so you need to buy it again. And Baltimore. You know what I mean?
Someone just got a brand new fire pit in their backyard.
Yes.
that they didn't pay for their blocks.
Exactly. Where did you get the rest of the house? Looks like shit, but it's a brand new fire pit. Where the fuck did that come from, right? No. So Baltimore, Charlotte, Atlanta, Orlando, Tampa Bay, and we did Houston for a little bit. So. Being dispo really helped because I'm talking to investors and wholesalers the whole time. So it made that transition to be able to go into another market right now, for example, a lot more seamless, right? There's already credibility built because I've done business with these people in the past. They know how I work and I know how they work. Mm-hmm. So they're like, yeah, I'd be happy. We have a couple deals right now that we need to sell. So we have one in Philly that we're pushing right now while we're pushing a couple lots here in the Woodland Terrace area. So that's kind of my way to hedge that. The other is going direct to seller. I fucking hate it, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it because he who controls the deal controls everything, right? If you control that transaction, because, you know, it happens it happens. It's real estate. When money starts getting involved, people start really looking out for themselves, right? And there's been a couple incidences not that long ago that, you know, just it didn't work out. We had understandings. And, you know, but ultimately it was their deal. So they made a decision to go a different route. And it sucks because, you know, you're here, but like, fuck, like we had people ready. So now to control against that, I'm going
and there's a lot less regulation in your world versus the traditional real estate world, isn't there?
For now.
Oh.
For now. There's already laws being implemented in places like Ohio, out west, that you have to be a licensed realtor to be able to assign properties. Which assigning... Like, this one thing that I need to say for whoever's listening, like, wholesaling and assigning is not illegal, right? No matter what, it's on the freaking FAR bar, it's on the as-is residential contract. There is a clause that says assignability. It is perfectly fair and legal to do that. Now, that's where you start going into nuances, right? How you approach that seller. It's like, hey, look, you know, first off, please only get them under contract if you know you can actually close on it and you're willing to, right? You don't want to fuck somebody over, right? Worst case scenario, you don't find a buyer. And just be upfront, like, hey, look, if I'm not going to buy this, I'll bring partners. I'm going to bring some money partners, some investors, and we can try to make something work. I'll still get you the number that we agreed to. So it's about how you present it. That's probably what those guys in Discord were probably talking about, that it was like, you know, tell me why all wholesalers are pieces of shit. It's like, we're not. Trust me, we're not. There are definitely pieces of shit out there, but it's just about how you present it, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, if you're actually trying to help somebody, that's the main thing.
No, I love that. I love following that train sometimes. That I call it the Reddit train crash of people hate realtors hate wholesalers, and then where does it go from there?
Dude, everybody. Dude, wholesalers are always got something to say about realtors and vice versa, man. Yeah. Dude, I love realtors, man. I've done so much good business with realtors. Yeah. It's awesome, man. It's just just work with each other. There's so much money in this industry.
Yeah, I mean, like one of my buddies in Tampa, he has his own real estate firm, and he has a bunch of wholesalers that work underneath him as well. So so he's on both sides, and he's just and I'm not gonna say how much money he has. All I'm gonna say is he just bought a new Ferrari again. So
probably not doing too bad, right?
No, you know, if you're buying like $400,000 cars, you might be doing all right.
More than one? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But that's so smart, right? Like because think about it. If you are a realtor, you have all the advantage. You have the ability to list that deal. If that seller doesn't want a cash offer, but they still want to sell it, you can list it and get them top market value if that's the position that they're in. But if you don't have a license like me, you know, you're kind of stuck to like a couple exit strategies. It was wholesaling, or being the buyer myself.
Yeah.
Right?
Just burr it out yourself.
Yeah, burr it out. That's one of the methods, or just, you know, cash, or, you know, if you're doing rentals or flipping it, wholesaling, there's a bunch of different methods you can do.
All right, so 2-part question. For an average wholesaler, what does their ideal client look like?
Okay.
And then for you, Carlos, what does your ideal client look like?
Ideal client. Okay, in the dispo side, just to understand that, the dispo side or just in general?
So the first one in general, the second one, you specifically, what are you looking for?
Okay, so I would say an ideal client seller for a wholesaler would be someone that is in distress, right? They honestly, they're out of options, right? They're out of options, unfortunately. You know, life has a way to kick you in the fucking nuts when you're down. And the ideal client, someone that is in distress, needs to sell a property fast, isn't willing or looking to do any more investment in that house for whatever reason. Might be going to foreclosure, the property could have been hit by a hurricane, there's so many things, right? But a distressed homeowner that needs fast, needs cash fast. That's the ideal for an assignment, a wholesaler. But there's other methods, like they call it like creative financing, like subject to deals or seller finance deals, right? Like owner financing type deals, where the house doesn't necessarily have to be completely fucked, but maybe they bought the property, you know, a couple years back in like 2021, where they were able to afford that mortgage at the time, right? It's a $500,000 house, but the mortgage is as if it's a $300,000 house.
Yeah, 2% deals.
Yeah, awesome, which are great, but they have no equity. And what happens for whatever reason, they need to pull some cash out, but they can't sell it anymore because they have no equity in the deal. When they sell it on the retail market, they're underwater.
Why wouldn't they have equity in the deal if their rate is so low and they've been paying their mortgage? Well,
maybe they stop paying their mortgage. Maybe they can't afford that mortgage anymore, right? And it's going to foreclosure. Or maybe they have a wedding and they need to pull out a line of equity, right? But because think about it. In 2021, a property that was worth maybe $500,000 is now worth like $430,000. So yeah, they got a really good rate. They got 2% back then. But that property now, if you try to sell it on the market, you're losing $70K.
Yeah.
Without closing costs. You know, so what happens in a situation like that if you need the money, right? That's where the creative play comes in. There's a lot of investors, like if you check out someone like Pace Morby, the subject to community, they're awesome, you know, and that's what they specialize in. Like they come in, that's one of the other tools in their tool belt that helps with someone. They can pay you a down payment, right? A good chunk of down payment, and pay you the amount that you want, but just might not be immediately. It might be in 5, 10, 12 years, whatever you agree to. And you can get monthly payments as well, so still get cash flow. So these are one of the other options. And an ideal client for me, if we're talking about the dispo business / my investor hat on, pretty much is a wholesaler that doesn't have a strong buyer's list, someone that maybe is even a little bit newer. They don't know how to run numbers. A lot of the people that I've built really great relationships with, I've taught them how I run numbers, and I run numbers the way investors run numbers, right? So it's like the numbers that I'm giving you is the price that investors actually going to pay, right? It's a lot of times you see on acquisitions, especially for the people that start, they're so hungry to get their new deal that they start stretching, and they try to get anything under contract. And then what happens? They try to send it to a buyer's list, or they try to sell it and no one buys it because they're way too high. So ideally, I'm looking to work with a wholesaler that maybe is at that point where they're zero to maybe first 5 deals ever, or maybe they're at a place that they're only doing maybe 1 to 5 deals a month, so they're still a little bit smaller and they need that help. They're spending all their time on acquisitions and marketing. they don't have time to dispo, we can partner up, right? I can either, I never ever am just like, hey, look, all right, you're new, let me get 50% of your fee. I don't like to do that. I just say, hey, I'll tell you what I know I can sell it at. Let me know the price that you want to net. I'll see if I can tack on a fee. That way I don't fuck with your number. And then worst case scenario, if maybe we don't have enough room where I can tack on a fee, we'll just discuss it case by case, either a flat fee from the assignment or a percentage split. Usually I don't go above like 40%, 60% goes to the acquisitions person because they've got money invested in marketing and all that stuff. That's kind of my ideal client as well, yeah.
So someone who's in distress wants to close fast.
Yep.
Why would they go to a wholesaler instead of a traditional retailer? What are the benefits?
Well, it's exactly what I said. It's the speed, the fact that off-market real estate cash transactions, the seller can literally take only the shit that they want and leave the house completely messed up, and they don't have to worry about trash out, nothing. The investor will cover all of that. A lot of times with these off-market sales, I personally have other wholesalers and investors that I know, they'll help move the sellers out. They'll pay for their moving, right?
Oh,
these are
sweet.
Yeah, like if you want to move, like we've dished out like 5 to 7K to help people move to the other side of the country with trash trucks and everything, you know. So you have those benefits. Quick, you don't have to pay any closing costs. You don't have any extra realtor commissions. It's not like, hey, yeah, it's $100,000 minus my commission. No, it's we're getting it under contract for $100,000 because we're going to net you $100,000. That's really the benefit, right? So not everyone is the ideal client. If you have the ability to, if you have time and you still want to get top dollar, put that shit on the market. Don't sell it to a cash investor because by definition, they need to make a profit. An investor or wholesaler needs to make a profit.
And they're going to pay you way less.
They're going to pay way lower because they have to invest money into it, right? They got to raise their families too, you know? They got to pay for bills and diapers and everything, man. So, you know, it's if you have the time and you're not in a super distressed situation, do not sell it cash. Put it on the market. Sell it cash on the market for retail, which does happen too.
Yeah.
But don't sell it off market to an investor or wholesaler like me because you're not going to get top dollar. You won't. Yeah.
And people hear that they're not going to get top dollar and they have a problem with that.
Well, you know, it's life, man. It sounds cold as shit, but it's like you have to understand, you know, we can give you a retail number, but wholesale terms. That's something my mentor says all the time when it comes to those creative deals. I can give, let's say your property is worth $300,000 on the market. I can give you $300,000, but I can't give it to you right away. Give it to you in 5 to 10 years in a balloon payment. We'll pay you monthly, but we need terms that are wholesale. Still needs to work, right? I think a lot of sellers right now are finally coming around. I think in the last like 4 or 5 months, they're starting to see that it's not what the market used to be.
No.
Where you could just like slap it on and get 75 million people offering their dog to freaking buy the house all cash. It ain't like that anymore.
Yeah.
You know, so I think the market is going to tell you what you can or cannot do. You know, my parents just went through that right now. They're selling their house up in Northern Virginia and they wanted X amount. I told them they should have sold it back then. It wasn't the right time, and that's okay. And the universe spoke. It wasn't the right time. Now that they're ready, my dad still wants that price point from 2 years ago, and I'm like, Papa, like, he did it, and the property sat on the market for like 3 months, 4 months.
Oh, that's horrible.
Still, yeah. You lose all the leverage, and that's what's happening a lot of times. If you don't get that reality check, you're actually hurting yourself.
And a guy like me is going to see that this has been sitting on the market for 3 months. I'm going to lowball you like crazy.
Absolutely. Oh, you probably need to sell this, so why would I pay you that number?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's that.
I'm coming in 25% below.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, I mean, that's that leverage that I'm telling you. The longer it stays in the market, the more stale it is. If you want to sell it under, right? That's something, when you're flipping a house, my mentor teaches me, you want to be the best product in the neighborhood at the lowest price.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I see an after repair value, what we call an ARV of 400,000, right? I want to be able to run my numbers at like 385 and still make money. That way I know I can price it at like maybe 380. If the market allows me to bid it up, awesome. Great, but if not, I know already conservatively it should fly if I'm selling less than what, you know, the highest value property in that market is, right? Or that sub-market. So, yeah.
Yeah, so like the market right now is definitely very, very crazy. So I'm definitely curious as to like if you can make a prediction as to like what's going to happen just short term in the next 6 months. with rates going where they are. Like I don't know if you listened to Jerome Powell yesterday, but like it didn't sound good. It sounded like we may raise rates again. He didn't. He didn't say for sure, but he definitely hinted in that direction. Mm-hmm. How's that going to affect real estate? How's it going to affect investors? How's it going to affect? How's it going to affect everybody else? What do you see? Because you're wholesale, so you have a pretty macro view. It seems like.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not an economist, so I mean, like, please don't quote me on any of this.
This is just two guys having a conversation right
shit.
now.
Honestly,
none of this is financial advice.
I think no matter what, there's always going to be opportunity for deals. For a wholesale and investor, there's always going to be an opportunity, no matter where the market is. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's going to be a slew of foreclosures. If you asked me this like a year ago, everyone's hoping for, so I can start buying low.
Oh, I'm waiting for 2008 again.
But we're in a completely different situation, right? Mm-hmm. Like there is such a surplus of buyers right now and such a deficiency of inventory nationwide.
Is
it
just big cities or like big cities and towns as well?
I can only speak on the markets that I'm personally in, right? Okay. I don't want to say about other markets that I don't know. Like I don't know like the Midwest. I mean, I have friends that are still doing business. I got a buddy that's got like 175 doors in like Memphis, the Memphis area. So like there's still deals to happen everywhere. But do I think there's going to be a bunch of foreclosures? I don't know. I wish I had a better answer. But I think no matter what market we're in, there's always an opportunity for investment and wholesale, right? It's just might be a little bit more difficult to find them. So you have to spend the time to meet the right people that actually do the business, give value. Don't just go to somebody and be like, hey, I want to learn, provide some value, right? Like whether learn.
I'll do some marketing for you. I'll do some cold calls for you.
What do you need? How can I add value,
I'm an expert with spreadsheets. I can run data for you.
Exactly. Any of that shit that an investor, like a lot of times, like, investors and those people that run those really successful companies, it's not because they're wearing every fucking hat. It's because they know what they're really good at and they know what they're really bad at, right? And they'll hire or delegate to the shit that they're really bad at.
Acquisitions.
Exactly fucking right.
Yeah.
So it's one of those situations. So I wish I could give you a more definitive answer, bro.
No, I'm asking you to predict the future.
Yeah, tough. Yeah.
You mean you don't know for sure what's going to happen in the next 6 months?
Nope.
You don't know the winning lottery numbers for the next $500 billion drawing?
I don't, but if I did, I wouldn't tell you. Not on this podcast.
Suddenly, like 1,000 people across the nation all hit the lottery at this.
Fuck.
We all become billionaires at the same time.
This is really good apple juice.
Isn't that great?
You weren't joking. That's really good apple juice.
Yo, hold that up for the camera. That is the greatest apple juice in the history of apple juice.
This is actually really fucking good. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
Your boy delivered.
Mm-hmm. No, man, but it's one of those things. Just kind of where the market is going. Honestly, just keep networking and keep trying to provide value. Not necessarily go to every single networking real estate meetup because there's also a lot of really good investors and wholesalers that go, but there's also a lot of potentially wasting time. So if you do go, be very focused about an objective. Don't just go there because I'm just trying to figure it out, right? Like whenever I go to a networking event or, my dispo agent, Josh, goes to a networking event, we give ourselves, hey, look, I'm trying to make at least 2 to 3 new intentional connections with somebody that can provide, like someone that I can add value to their business or they can add value to our business or vice versa. Something like that, not just like, I'm just going to give my number to the first 3 people I meet. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So if you have an objective with these kind of events, they're gold, right? I used to not do that. I used to just go, and it was not. I would hate it. I'd be like, I'm just fucking sitting here wasting my time. But now that I switched that kind of mindset, it helps a lot.
I want to talk about your mindset, but I think. But I want to touch. But I want to visit specifically the. I want to stay on wholesaling a little bit longer.
Dude, of course.
All right. So I have a buddy. He's a real estate investor over 30 years, right?
Okay.
He's trying to retire right now. He sold most of his portfolio. He's from like 30 houses down to 8.
Okay.
He's having trouble getting rid of the last 8.
Okay.
Because he can't find a quality real estate agent to help him list.
Okay.
Should he consider wholesaling? And I know you don't know his whole situation.
I think it's always a good option. I would just tell your buddy, send the information over. I can let you know, no commitments, no nothing, just what I think I could bring a buyer for, and we can talk about something like that. At least then he will know, right, what kind of offers are out there, right? Let me ask you, do you think he might be overpriced by any chance? Like, is that a possibility? Because it could be one of two things. It could be that the agents that he's worked with might not have been the best, or might not have been the best, or he might be a little overpriced. But at the same time, that kind of comes down to the agent. The agent is not meant to be a yes person. Your real estate agent isn't supposed to be like, oh, you want to list it for $1 million? Yeah, let me list it for $1 million. No, a good agent, all the agents that I know that are high level, they'll be like, you want to list it for $1 million? I can't do that for you. You know what I mean? Or I'm willing to do it for a week, right? But then we need to have an understanding that we're going to most likely have to reduce this because the right price is $925,000, as an example. And you want that from an agent. So it could be that. It could be he hasn't aligned or partnered with the right agents, which in that aspect too, I'd be happy to introduce him to, I know a few like that are very, very good and they don't fuck around,
How well do you know OKC?
Oklahoma City, 0.
Okay.
0. But I know people that know people there.
Okay.
Yeah. I might not be able to connect them directly with that person, but I can definitely at least help or connect them with that person that might.
Sweet. He's probably gonna watch this, so I'll leave your number and contact info in the description.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.
For
Awesome.
sure.
Perfect. Yeah. People helping people.
That's what it's about. That's what I love about this real estate industry is there is so much money in the real estate industry that everyone can eat. Everyone can fucking eat. There's literally a way to find a win-win for everybody. It's just about finding it.
All right. So Joey specifically wants to know why are prices going the way they are and what's going on.
Why are prices the way they are?
He said, why has real estate gotten so expensive here in Tampa?
Well, a couple reasons. I would say first and foremost, kind of the way Florida handled the pandemic is a big reason. A lot of people started moving down here, right? Tampa got named the best city to live in, I think 2 years running in the last 2 years. So when you have a lot of business owners that are getting taxed out the ass in like California or New York or whatever, or the markets are just ridiculously expensive over there, they want to liquidate cash and they want to come here. So when you start bringing all these buyers and new people with all that cash and all that money, they can create an artificial market, which is what happened in 2021, early 2022, that made the numbers skyrocket here, right? Which relatively to us in the Tampa market is really fucking expensive. But relatively to like another market like DC or New York, it's not that expensive, right? But I would really say it has to do with the amount of people coming here, the amount of development happening in Tampa. Tampa's going up. The Gasworks development already was approved last year. Yeah. You know what I mean? We're already going into phase 2 or phase 3, I think, of the Water Street development. Like, these are big, these are global companies that are investing and pumping money into this. And it's only natural that is going to raise values, raise expenses and everything for everyone around here. People are going to get pushed out. Unfortunately, that's kind of what happens with gentrification. That's kind of that's why I think the numbers are getting to where they're at. Now, we are, I would say, pretty fortunate in Tampa Bay specifically, because there are other markets in like the Midwest and areas that the correction hit them way worse, way harder. People lost a lot.
As in the last 1 year.
Yeah. I mean, the property, again, back to what we were saying, is like they bought a house for $500, it was worth $500, now it's worth $430. And if they can afford the mortgage money, if you keep that for the long game, it'll correct and it'll go past it.
I mean, if you got a 2% rate, keep your 2% rate.
Absolutely. Don't refinance
that's
out of
free
that.
money.
Yeah, don't refinance. Excuse me. So, but Tampa, because of the amount of development and consistent investment that's happening in the area, I believe that this market is going to stay really fucking strong, no matter what. And it's plateaued, but there's still like not necessarily plateau, but it's still a very incremental upping, if that makes sense. That's not the professional word for it, but you know what I'm trying to say.
So don't expect. So Joey shouldn't expect his rent to go down anytime soon. I don't know.
Not drastically.
Yeah, I don't know how much you know about the rental markets.
No, I mean, I've been noticing that the rents have been going down a little bit, but not excessive.
No.
Yeah, I mean, no.
I just raised my rents.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those that I wouldn't expect like a massive correction on property values or rents to come down from like 2,300 to like 1,500, next month.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so someone getting to wholesaling.
Mm-hmm.
How many phone calls do you make a day? That many.
It's a lot. Yeah. I mean, like for example, I still even know on the acquisition side. I mean, dude, people are doing like 100 to 150 dials a day.
Jeez.
And but they're not dialing one. They use a dialer, for example, and they might talk to like 30 people, and of those 30 people, maybe get like 3 actually interested leads, right? Give or take. Mm-hmm. On Dispo. Which is what I do on the daily, it's way less because it's a lot more of a sniper. Mm-hmm. But we're probably talking to an average of 15 to 20 people a day, new people, new conversations. We're adding buyers every single deal that we have. We're adding at least 5 to 10 new buyers. So it's a lot, right? And it's one of those things that I think will. No matter where we're at with AI, no matter where we're at with any kind of marketing technology or anything like that, I really don't believe that you'll be able to take the people portion out of real estate, at least with the investment side of things. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, you can present a fucking dope ass deal through text and it's great. But to really close somebody and to build a relationship, right? Because especially in Dispo, it's a very relationship-based transaction as well. Yeah, it's numbers, right? But people, even if the numbers are great, if they don't like you, they don't want to fucking do business with you. And if they don't trust you that you're going to honor your word or that you're going to fucking look out for them and that you're being upfront about the property, the same thing. They're not going to want to do business with you. And the best way is by just picking up the fucking phone and talking to somebody, right? Asking them about their day. There's a little bit of awkward silence while they're running the numbers. Asking them about their kids, whatever the fuck, Talk, have a conversation because... in my 7 years, I've sold close to 750 properties, and I think maybe like, bye.
Those of you can't see that, we're sitting next to a huge cruise ship right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's about to head out.
Yep, that's usually the sign.
But
that's what that honking was.
Yeah, sorry. ADD. Yeah, 2 guys with ADD, really bad ADD here.
I do not have AD what?
Squirrel! I forgot what I was saying, holy shit.
We were talking about...
Can we rewind this? Fuck.
Yeah.
No, we were talking
okay, the amount of phone calls that are...
Yeah. The people side of the business, that's what I was trying to say. So, of the amount of deals that I've sold, like I'm pretty sure maybe 5 in my whole career that we sold through like an email, right, or a text blast, and they're like, "Yeah, I'll fucking buy it right now." Great. And honestly, if that happens, then you probably sold it too low. To be honest with you, really, if it was that easy to sell, probably sold it a little too low. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, it's a relationship business, man. So. Don't forget that. Newer wholesalers, newer investors, take the time, talk to fucking people, build that credibility because that's going to go to the sustainability of your own business. Because in a downwards market, when things get more difficult, you want to still be able to depend on your buyers to still give you offers, to still want to pick up your fucking phone when you have a deal to sell. That's how you make your money, right? So that's not like a lot of those wholesalers that they just sold and made a lot of money in 2021. They were just sending out emails on like a platform like InvestorLift, which is awesome and works really well, right? Shout out to InvestorLift because that is a phenomenal platform for dispositions. It's incredible, but people got spoiled, right? And a lot of those wholesalers that were getting properties way too high because they knew they could sell them high, easy, those are the people that are struggling a little bit now, right? Yeah, my business slowed down, but at least I still have business, so that's my 2 cents on that for sure.
You played the long game.
Yeah, I'm in this shit for the long haul, bro. Mm-hmm. I'm never getting out of real estate, no matter what. If when I make my millions and maybe I start investing in other businesses, like I'm pretty sure my bread and butter is always going to be real estate, bro.
You're going to be an angel investor? Or venture capitalist?
Maybe, who knows?
That'd be
I
dope.
don't know what life's got in store for me. If I have the ability and the money and the time to do so, why the fuck not?
Yeah, I'm seeing you on Shark Tank one day.
Maybe
that-
the next Ring camera.
No, that'd be dope.
That'd be fucking great.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
That's all right. I
No,
can tune them out.
That's fine. I'm just hoping they don't start blasting noises at us again. More.
Do you have like an air horn we can maybe like blow, like go back?
We just open up these windows, just start chucking rocks at the ship. That'd be hilarious.
That might be a lawsuit, maybe.
Maybe.
Just blame Industrious, don't blame us.
Oh dear God.
Yeah. Not condoning that, sorry.
Yeah. Don't throw rocks at cruise ships.
Please. Sorry, Industrious, don't sue us.
That's not nice. All right. Probably gonna bleep that out.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So you're making a lot of phone calls a day, and you're so focused on the human side of the business.
Yep.
Could you tell me about like a deal that specifically sticks out in your mind? If there's like if you have like a favorite deal, one that you always go back to.
I would say there's two.
Okay.
For two different reasons, and both come down to relationships, right? So we'll talk about the first is a wholesale deal. So a lot of times I do not condone getting a property under contract just to get under contract. We talked about this earlier.
Yeah, unless you have a buyer ready to go.
Yeah, ready to go, or you ran the numbers and you know this is a deal. There was one deal that was very, very tight, and the acquisitions wholesaler wasn't 100% sure. So we did something, and I don't like to market the deals unless they're under contract, because again, you could waste some people's time. If they run their numbers and they're like, I like the deal, now I have to go back to the acquisitions wholesaler. If they didn't have it under contract, that seller can very well be like, you know what, I changed my mind, I want higher now, right? So people's time can get wasted.
And if you waste a person's time once, they're gonna remember that.
Exactly, especially the first impression. That's a terrible first impression.
Yeah.
Right? So, and out of respect for the people that I work with, I don't want to do that to anybody. I wouldn't like it being done to me, right? Mm-hmm. But there was one deal that, it was last year, when the market had already shifted and it was already a little bit tight, and it's because of the relationship I had built with this one realtor / investor that we were able to sell it. It only took one phone call. I called her. She picked up because she knows when I call, it's usually something that's worth looking at least, potential money. She ran the numbers, and because we have that trust, I wasn't worried that she was going to go around me. I could be very upfront with her and say, hey, look, we don't have this under contract yet because of these reasons, but if we were to get it under contract, we'd be able to sell it to you at $120,000. Does that work? And she ran her numbers. We negotiated a little bit, came down to I think 116, but we were still able to make it work. And even though we didn't have it under contract, we were very upfront with her, and she was okay, right? We ended up getting under contract and sold the deal to her, kind of reverse engineered the deal that way, which again is not something that happens unless you have a good enough relationship. Because if you say that to an investor that maybe is a little shady, they know you don't have it under contract, they can just go around you, screw you out of the deal, and you're done.
Has that happened to you?
Absolutely, it's happened to me before. Yeah, more than once in multiple different markets. Like I said, there's a lot of really good people here in this industry, but there's also not so many trustworthy people as well. Mm-hmm. But that comes down because I had built my credibility and reputation with that investor realtor over the last 3-4 years that we have that trust, right? Mm-hmm. So that's one deal that I really love to talk about, because a lot of times people just get worried, right? Like, oh, do I have to block out the address of every deal I send out? It's like, not necessarily. Take the time to build a VIP buyers list, good investors that you can trust in situations like this, because if the deal is tight, instead of just throwing the deal away and the lead away, you can still make some money on it, right? Mm-hmm. Another good deal was not the flip that I'm doing right now. This is a pretty decent deal, but the one before I did in Town and Country, that was again through another acquisitions wholesaler, and she just reached out to me over time. I've been helping her out, kind of run numbers on other deals in the past, built a lot of credibility with her, and so she reached out to me to see if I could sell it. And I was like, I'll do you one better. I was like, I'll buy it. Like what? Ooh. So I was like, because I ran the numbers quick, and again, that ended up being like an $87,000 deal that my business mentor and partner made, and that only happened because of the relationship I had with that wholesaler, right? And that would have only happened if I did right by her in the past, mm-hmm. right? And actually performed when I said I was going to perform. So, You know, I would say those two are my favorite deals, just in those situations, because they really highlight the power of the relationship that you build with somebody in this industry. Because she walked away, we made $87,000 on that deal. She made damn near 40.
Whee.
And so she made the 40 when we closed on it. We made the 87 once we flipped it, right? And I remember when she first made the offer, she was only going to make like I think $12K when we accepted the price. We were all good. She went back and renegotiated with the seller, so she had a little bit more spread there, because we had to be a little bit lower because the seller wasn't 100% honest about the structural integrity of the house.
Oui.
Surprise, surprise. So we had reason to go back and try to renegotiate. So she was able to do that, and when I found out, I called her about it, and I think she was worried that I was going to be upset that she was making so much money. And I was like, dude, congratulations.
Yeah.
Like, that's fucking awesome. You know what I mean? Because
you found an extra 30K. Good job.
Good fucking job. And it doesn't affect me. I'm good with the number that I'm buying at. You can make $200,000 on me. I don't give a shit.
You still made your 80K?
Yeah, I'm happy. And if I wanted that extra spread, I should have gone direct to the seller. Mm-hmm. I should have taken the time to do that. That's not your fault. So why the fuck would I be mad, right? So it just highlights, again, everyone can fucking win, right? Be a team player in this fucking business, because you're gonna go so much farther with more people, you know, and that leads to more opportunities, more deals get presented to you. If you want to start flipping, you know what I mean? If you don't want to go direct to seller, you know, build relationships with good wholesalers. Give them a reason to trust you to send you their deal first. Something like that.
So you mentioned earlier off camera that you're looking to start a rental properties portfolio.
Yep.
You've been doing this for quite a while now, 7 years?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, going on.
How come you haven't started your own rental property portfolio yet? You've been in Tampa for a little while.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think it comes down to a little bit of fear, to be honest with you, especially at the beginning. You know, when I really didn't start getting into the whole like, hey, look, let me really try investing until like 2019. And the first 3 deals I did, or the first 2, you know, I lost my ass on really bad. Or the first one. The second one.
What happened?
Well, the first one, long story short, 2 really untrustworthy contractors that we thought we could trust that really fucked us. Story of like so many investors' lives when you start. And, you know, ultimately it came down to I had to either fucking flash sale it, and he was gonna get all the proceeds and actually gonna take the house and all that shit. I had to sell it back to him, if anything, because I needed to pay back my lenders. Like I lost like $20,000 on that deal when I was worth maybe $3,000. So it fucking sucked, but I paid my lenders back.
So it sounded like you were trying to burr it.
No, I was trying to flip it.
Okay.
I was trying to flip it, but because we had the first set of contractors that we did, the partners that I partnered with at that time, we didn't do enough due diligence on those contractors and check their quality of work. We had a detached garage and efficiency that they were supposed to fix, and they accidentally tore down. And yeah. So had a single family house with a detached efficiency on the second floor with a 2-car garage. That was why we bought it at that price, because the value on the back end with that was great.
Yeah, that's huge.
It's huge. These fucking idiots, they fucking started renovating it and didn't support the property correctly, and it fucking toppled over. Fortunately, no one was hurt, thank God, but because the city had rezoned the area, they only allowed us that ADU, that accessory dwelling unit, because it was grandfathered in, and once they tore it down, we couldn't put it back. And it was going to cost us $20,000 to put a new garage there, and the garage was only going to add about 20 to like maybe 23K in value. So it didn't make sense.
No, adding garages don't always add value.
Not as much as you would want, you know?
The amount that you put into building a garage.
Exactly, kind of like a pool. Like a lot of times pools don't add the return on investment.
I would never invest in a property with a pool.
No,
the maintenance is
I'll
not
invest
worth
in it, but I won't put one in there.
Yeah.
You know, if it's got a pool, I got no problems with it if it works, but I'm not gonna fucking install a pool.
Yeah.
No, it's not worth it, for me at least.
No.
But and then the second contractor, again, thought he was great, kind of held us up and like held us hostage, because I think there was like $5K left to pay him, but we had agreed that we were gonna pay him once the job was completed, and he refused to do so. So
Whoa.
holding costs were kicking our ass. So I had to ended up just selling it. Lost $20K because I had to go out of my own pocket to pay the lenders because I needed to make sure my lenders were whole no matter what. Mm-hmm. So we paid all my lenders, private and the hard money lender, and lost my ass that way. Mm-hmm. But I don't even remember how the fuck we got into that. But yeah, it was rough. It was definitely rough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. But then you're gonna try again now.
Yeah. So we were talking about rentals and why, dude.
Yeah.
ADD. So I just started flipping 2019 with all this happened, right?
That's a great time to start getting into something like this.
Yeah. But I just didn't think about things in longevity back then. I was just thinking about, I was so focused on dispo for the company at the time. I was like, just give me the contracts. I'm trying just to make this money, just quick money. I wasn't thinking about it, and I hadn't had the right mentorship around me that guided me to make those right decisions when I should have back then. Mm-hmm. I didn't look for them either.
I mean, it's a different mentality being a real estate sales guy,
yeah,
and being a real estate sales versus being a real estate investor.
Mm-hmm.
Because real estate sales, you're thinking about close a deal, fast money. Being an investor it sounds nice on paper, but it is not. But the actual work that goes into it is not sexy at all.
No, it's not. It's super boring. And it's like pulling your hair out. It's stressful.
And it's long.
It's long, dude. Yeah, it definitely. If you're doing the rental game, for sure, it's a long term, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
Right. I think one of those major shifts as well was when my son was born in 2019. That's when I was already like, all right, I need to try flip. I need to try. Right. All my investors like, just you have all these opportunities. Why don't you give it a shot? Take one of those properties down. It ended up not working out with that company. They didn't provide a good enough deal for me to want to buy, so I found it somewhere else. But yeah, and then just tried flipping a little bit. Really started that partnership with my mentor actually at the end of last year. Mm-hmm. That's when things really shifted, and it was because of him that he was like, look, man, I'll provide the capital. You're a hustler. You get good deals. You know your numbers. We can find deals together. I'll provide the capital, the teaching of how to do a flip correctly, how to look, taxes, everything. Shit that I needed to learn. And that's when I partnered up with him. That's when we're like, all right, let's be serious about getting rentals, right? Mm-hmm. So right now we're just in capital building stage right now. So that's why we're doing flips, just to build the capital, and I'm still doing my dispo to build the capital. But if there's a good enough deal that comes in to rent, we're taking it down immediately. Mm-hmm. So this is all being done under an LLC between you and him? Yeah, it's actually, yes. We have a joint LLC, but these first couple flips, we're doing under my LLC.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Sweet. Mm-hmm. All right. Cool. 55 minutes. Still got a little bit. How are you doing on time?
I'm good.
3:48 right now. Perfect. All right. Cool.
I'm good.
Awesome. All right.
I like this actually. It's nice just to have a good conversation, bro. For real, I appreciate it.
Yeah. No, I'm of the opinion of the thesis that conversations is the best way to transfer. Well, it's the second best way to transfer knowledge. Number one is books.
Of course.
Because to actually write a book, you have to actually sit down and really organize your thoughts and really get into it. Mm-hmm. I used to think it was documentaries, but then I realized no, documentaries is more entertainment than books.
And it's also biased.
It's extreme.
It can be.
Books are biased as hell too.
That's true. I mean, every biography, every autobiography. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
that's true. That's very true.
But then, I feel like just a natural conversation like this, no agenda, no just it's just the best way to transfer knowledge.
Yeah.
And just record the conversation and just send it out into the universe.
Yeah, maybe it helps somebody someday. Maybe somebody will learn something. Maybe it'll give someone, that extra little push to start investing or to start wholesaling.
Or start getting their act together. Because someone might see this and say, hey, wholesaling's not for me, but I like this guy's drive, I like his mentality, and then I'm going to take that mentality and I'm going to open up the greatest ice cream shop in the history of the world.
Fuck yeah, do it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Take home Baskin Robbins.
Yeah, fuck yeah, man.
Actually, I hear three phrases in my head from Kai all the time from from the podcast I did with him.
What phrases?
It's quitting is offensive to me. I hear that all the time. Oh my god! Sometimes I'm just like I don't want to do this, and then he just magically appears right here, and he's looking down at me, going, Don't offend me.
Don't offend me.
Don't offend me. And just launches that left hand at me.
Jesus, so fast, bro.
Yeah. So it's quitting is offensive to me.
Mm-hmm.
You can be down, but don't ever be out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
Because he was telling me about during COVID he like broke his ankle or something, and he was like depressed. He couldn't train. You know.
Of course,
I mean,
man.
When you're a guy like that and you can't play tennis, you can't do Muay Thai, like.
You can't move. He's a super active individual, bro. Like,
yeah, he's a freak of nature. After you gotta stay in one place, you know, it's gonna mess with you.
Yeah.
So he was down, but he wasn't out.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and the final one that I always remember is because this goes out to a lot of people who watch this. Is I'm not gonna say what his income was, but it is comparatively low. You know, if we're talking about like. On the scale of like 0 to Mark Zuckerberg, you know, it's tremendously low. He was still able to put aside $15,000 savings.
Yeah.
So when I hear people who are like that they're making like $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 a year, and like I don't have enough money, and I'm like, you guys are full of shit.
It's discipline.
Yeah, let me see your credit card receipts, and I will guarantee I will knock at least 10% off.
Yeah. What are you spending your money on? What are your real priorities? Or like don't tell me what your priorities are, right?
Yeah.
Those are. I mean, I wholeheartedly agree with those statements. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I say the same thing to my son. You know, I've been drilling at him since he was a kid. We say it in Spanish. It's you know, ¿qué pasa cuando nos caemos? Nos levantamos de nuevo. So for those who don't know Spanish, like, duh. What does it mean? It's like what happens when you fall down? We get right back up, right? Yeah. Like you can get knocked down. You're gonna get knocked down.
It's mandatory.
It's it's necessary for you to fucking fail. If you've never failed, you don't really know what real adversity is. So what happens when you're a grown ass man? You hit real adversity for the first time. You're gonna shell up.
Oh yeah.
Fuck that. So I'm telling my kid the same thing, and he
beat him down now.
I tell him, bro, freaking like leg kick, you fall down. Sorry, kid.
Yeah.
Learn to check.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. He's 3 years old.
Don't hit your kids.
Please don't. No, but I say it to him religiously, and now every time he falls down. All I have to do is like, ¿qué pasó cuando nos caemos? And he'll say it in Spanish. Nos levantamos de nuevo. He gets right back up. You know, it is something. Some high level people have told me the same thing in different words. Like, you know, quitting is offensive. Mm-hmm. Same. It's like, bro, like you really only fail if you quit. Mm-hmm. You know, realistically, like if you have the drive to keep pushing, no matter what that is. You can't fucking lose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can only get better. You know what I mean?
Figure it out.
Figure it out, bro. If you really want to. Mm-hmm. If you really want to. Or if you want to be a victim, be a fucking victim. We know plenty, I'm sure. I know I do. People that complain about their life, those $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 people, they're like, oh, I don't have enough money. But we know people making even less than that are able to save up for their first property.
He's on his third.
That's what I'm saying. So that's discipline. That's your mindset. You can make it happen if you want to, you know? Yeah. So that's fucking awesome, bro. Mm-hmm. I love that.
Yeah. All right, so the type of person who should get into wholesaling mm-hmm. and the type of person who should not get into wholesaling. Go.
I think the type of person that should get into wholesaling is somebody that genuinely wants to help somebody else. Somebody that is a hustler. Mm-hmm. Somebody that can take that can take a fucking beating. Because, man, wholesaling is fucking tough.
Tell me about the beating part.
Bro, you are going to get cursed the fuck out. You're going to fucking...
By who?
By sellers, bro. Like, hey... This is about go fuck yourself. Like, bro, I've heard people threaten dogs, threaten grandmothers. Like, I will find where you live, fucking murder your damn dog, make you. Bro, like, I'm not even exaggerating, verbatim, bro.
Yeah.
Some fucked up shit. People get really fucking mean on the phone because you're not in front of their face. So they say everything on the phone, right? And for unfortunately, you know, weaker people that don't have a tough skin, that can really weigh on you emotionally and mentally, right? Not to mention the fact that, dude, wholesaling, most of the time. You're not going to get your first deal till probably like maybe 3 to 6 months even. You know? What happens for those 3, like you're giving, let's say you quit your 9 to 5 because you saw these YouTube videos of like, man, wholesaling, look at this check and blah, 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 and looks fucking awesome.
Here I am in my garage with this Lamborghini.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's just one of my 5 million cars that I have because it makes so much money. Start wholesaling, learn from me, right? But what they don't fucking tell you is the amount of the trial and error, the discipline, the fucking rainy days that like, man, like, you know, you're not bringing money in right now. Like you got bills. Mortgages are still coming in. Bills are still coming in. Your kids still need to eat. You need to protect your family. Like you still have all those responsibilities to do, whether you're the mom or the dad in the situation. It doesn't fucking matter, right? So no one talks about that grit that it takes to push through those first 3 to 6 months, get that first deal. And even that first deal might not be like a $30,000 deal. It might be a $5,000 deal, right? But you proved a proof of concept. So get back in there and do it again.
Boom, say that again.
Proof of concept, bro. Once you have that, that's a lot of times what really helps these wholesalers at the very beginning. Like people will be like, man, like I haven't been able to sell shit. I'm thinking about quitting, da 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 da. But then once they sell that first one, things change. Like, man, this is possible, right? And that's the beauty of wholesaling. Is once you overcome that hump and you acknowledge that and it's not going to be easy, but you have to continue. Whatever your purpose is, whatever your why is, whether it's your family, money, whatever. It can be whatever reason, as long as you really internalize that why and you work on that and you drive towards that, nothing can fucking stop you. Mm-hmm. You know? But you have to really define what that why is for yourself. You know? But yeah, that's that that was that first question, right? Like perfect wholesale. And then what was the other one?
So like who should get into it and who should not?
You should not get into it if you're only about the money.
Ooh.
You should not.
Tell me why.
Well, because you're going to end up looking at people as numbers on your spreadsheet. Mm-hmm. And then you're not really helping. Then you're really just worried about my bank account. How much money can I make off of you? What value do you have to me other than this money? And you're going to hurt people. You're going to fuck people over. And you know, just my opinion, we don't have any space for motherfuckers like that, right?
But don't people get into not just wholesaling, but just don't people get into business with that mentality anyway and still make money and succeed? Do they?
That absolutely, for the short term.
Ooh.
I know plenty that, and then they have even still massively successful in other industries, but there's a trail of bodies and they're not back in the real estate industry anymore. They've been shut out, you know, because no one wants to work with someone like that. So yeah, you can make money, but this is just my humble opinion, right? If you are a very money hungry person, you're only looking just to make like, fuck everybody else, I need the dollar first, right? Very selfish, very selfish. I don't think you are gonna be the right fit for a wholesaler. I think a truly good wholesaler is someone that wants to help, find a solution for somebody, be educated, right? Don't just fucking watch a video on YouTube one time and just try wholesaling, right? Learn from someone that actually does it the right way, ideally, and then implement that and then just continue.
Do you think if more people knew just how tough sales, real estate, wholesaling really is, that there would be as many people getting into it?
Definitely not. 100% agree with that. Like if most people don't know.
Yeah.
That's why.
if you knew, did you know ahead of time how much grit it was going to take, how tough it was going to be?
I had no idea, but I was lucky because and this is something that I recommend to every newer wholesaler. Don't necessarily try going about it yourself first.
No.
Don't. Join a company. Make mistakes on their dollar, on their dime, right? You know, join a company that's going to teach you about wholesaling, that will teach you acquisition, dispo, marketing, whatever the fuck, right? But because that's what helped me for the first 5 years in this industry, I worked with that company and I learned so much because of that. Built great connections that set me up to be able to start my business on my own and have a semi-seamless transition, right? A lot of times these people that they see these videos on YouTube, they go and they start wholesaling by themselves. They're the ones that get in that rut. They're like, I don't know, like I don't have any money coming in, I haven't gotten a deal. But if you are willing to take a little bit less like a pay cut per deal, but you look at the other side, like I'm actually learning how to do this the right way. I'm learning, and then eventually if you want to break off into your own, then you can, but you don't have to learn all those fucking mistakes the fucking hard way yourself. You know? Yeah, for sure.
Perfect. This has been great. Probably got like 10 minutes left on these cameras.
You let me know when you need me to shut up. I got you. I will shut up.
Flying knee across the table.
Right. And that's the podcast. Like just knee.
All right. So we briefly touched on it. You mentioned like AI and everything, and I'm definitely curious. Where do you see the future of wholesaling going with like, you also mentioned like a bit of government regulation potentially stepping in and making things more difficult for you. So what's the future going to be like for your world, your industry? Is there going to be a future?
There's always going to be a future, because there's always going to be investors that don't have the time or want to invest the time in doing the marketing. That's where wholesalers come into play. They're the ones that do the marketing and find the deals, right? The investors that get the best deals are the ones that learn wholesaling techniques to market to sellers and get them direct themselves. But
how is AI going to change all this?
So AI, I think, is only going to take away from the copy side of things, in my opinion, and maybe the initial, the marketing piece that you want to write. You can start using algorithms to pull data. You can use AI to pull data. But I don't think AI is ever going to take over the actual close of that sale.
What about like those? Have you seen like those like conversation bots where they're like talking like?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
No, for sure. But I think there's that rapport portion that I don't think has been developed in AI quite there yet.
No, because AIs don't have the true human experience.
They don't. I mean, just by definition, that's why they're not a sentient being. Well, a human, because they don't feel emotions, right? So.
And you can tell when you're talking to a bot.
Yeah, no matter what.
For now.
Yeah. How are you doing? I am great.
We'll wait 5 years.
Yeah, no, you never know. Maybe 3, bro. You never fucking know at this rate. But I know investors that are looking into AI right now. They're using it for copy. They're using it for, if they want to do a text blast, right? Instead of spending an hour or whatever to come up with 20 different variations of the same fucking thing. Hey, ChatGPT, give me 20 differentiations of this sentence. 2 minutes, done. Done. Hey, ChatGPT, give me a CMA, like a comparative market analysis for this property. We're looking for this kind of ROI. Does this fit that criteria? Yeah, that's coming. That's coming.
Are you using that right now?
I'm not using AI yet myself. I'm part of a mastermind where they are, the head of the mastermind is going to start using like a beta test for something similar to that. And I'm waiting to hear back kind of what his experience is before I invest into it.
Okay.
Yeah, but I will absolutely find AI in my business within the next 2 years. I have to. It's going that route. It's going that route.
I feel like you need to get in there within the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, 100%.
You're going to get left behind.
No, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
I already have a buddy who's actually developing a very, very good interactive chatbot that just talks to people, gathers their information, finds out what they're willing to spend, and then he just he gathers like a huge list of deals and just sends that out to dispo guys like you.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So he's
already doing that.
Yeah, that's what the guy the mastermind. That's what he's testing out right now as well.
Yeah,
is that kind that it's going to be the initial lead manager / cold caller.
Yeah,
is the AI.
I wonder if he's talking to my friend. That'd be hilarious.
Might be.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But
dude, the real estate industry is global, but it's a very small industry, realistically speaking. So real estate, it's global, right? But it's actually a very small industry. People that do it at a high level, they all know each other.
Okay, yeah.
They all know each other, bro.
The top 1%.
Yeah, bro. Like, I mean, like the people that actually do this, right? They fucking, whether you're wholesaling, investing, buy and hold, they all know each other, right? If you do some fuckboy shit and you fuck somebody over because you want to make an extra $20,000 on a deal, word will fucking spread. It might not affect you immediately, but eventually it will get around, and you're only hurting yourself, bro.
For sure.
All
right, Dan. This was definitely a huge conversation. Thank you so much,
dude. 100%. I hope I helped. Hope you learned something. Hope whoever's watching this learned something, and give my contact information. For what it's worth, if you want to learn dispo, do you mind if I do like a shameless plug? Yeah. So if you want to learn dispo, I do have a dispositions course that I created that is focused on dispositions. It's not going to talk about how you get deals direct to seller. It talks about once you have the deal, what to do and everything else, how to run numbers, all that. If you don't want to learn dispo and you have deals that you have direct to seller, just call me. I'll leave you my contact information, my email, and my phone number. So whoever wants, I'm happy to help. Or even if you just have a fucking question, just reach out. Yeah.
Any closing statements? Message you want to give out to people?
Yeah, I would just say, honestly, as cheesy as this sounds, like if you really believe, if you want to start an entrepreneurial journey
of any sort,
just don't quit. Believe in yourself enough. There's always going to be people that are going to fucking be the naysayers no matter what, whether it's family, friends, people, and it doesn't come from a malignant place. It just comes from lack of knowledge sometimes. So you have to believe in yourself, know your why, know why you're doing it, create a fucking plan, break it down into steps, and just be relentless with that, and reach out to people for help. There's always someone willing to help. So you're not, whoever's doing this shit, you're not alone, okay?
On that topic, I have one question that just popped up.
Of course.
I'm definitely curious to hear your answer. Do you need to be smart to succeed in business?
No. You need to be a hard worker.
You said that very quickly.
Yeah, because I'm not that smart. I'm not that smart. And I know people that are way more successful than me that are not as smart as me. And they're way more successful than I am, probably more successful than I'll ever be.
Okay.
Because they're really hard workers. Yeah, it's the same thing in Muay Thai. You can have all the talent in the world naturally, but you will never become a fucking champion unless you fucking work at it every fucking day and you hone that craft. If anything, like, what good is a God-given talent if you don't pay respects and fucking work on that damn talent? That's why it was given to you. You have an advantage, so fucking hone that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right, brother. Thank you very much.
Yeah, man. Dude, thank you. This was awesome. I really appreciate it.
I'm going to bring you back in a few years. See how you're doing then.
Dude, fuck yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it'll be very different, man.
At that point, you're like, yo, definitely don't get into rentals.
Yeah.
I lost my ass.